to start us off to talk about some of the new opportunities that the Alumni Association has to help all of you. I'm going to share my screen, so get excited, everybody, for me to work on some technology with you. But wanted to share, and this was shared on the with the nutshell last week. So for those of you, you should have received the nutshell. If you didn't receive that, please let your REO know, or your society liaison, whoever you may be working with. But we shared some really great support and opportunities that we will be able to provide you through this time, and even for the future. Even when we're back up running, or whatever the new normal looks like, still providing you support to help out with virtual opportunities, which would be a great way to connect with people even outside of these tough times. So this site is from our group site. You can actually find it if you go to the resources tab and go down to virtual programming guide for clubs and societies. That will bring you directly to this page. This was linked directly in the nutshell as well. You see that there are quite a few different documents with different information, different support. You can see, what are those different virtual engagement opportunities? What are some tips for hosting virtual board meetings? What are some options for your groups to use? Obviously, today we're using Zoom, but there are lots of other opportunities and ways to engage virtually and tools to engage virtually. So there's some different options and some information about those different options there. I'll go into this in a minute, but our updated Workfront. So we all are very well acquainted with Workfront, and to request that information and how to request an email to go out to all of the alums in your area, how to get website updates, how to do, for those of you who are able to send out postcards, how to request postcards. Within that Workfront, and I'll share this in a moment, there's some new functions for virtual programming. Also have just a little bit of information about how you can use our resources. We'll go into that. Some information about registration for your events in this virtual time. And we specifically put together, and it's something that I shared with you in the email I sent yesterday, was how to use Zoom. So that's something that we've adapted from tools that we have here for us at the university. We've adapted so that you can use with potential Zoom attendees for an event you may have. So to kind of just begin, wanted to open up this page for everybody and look at how can my club or society utilize the OSUAA resources to host these virtual engagement opportunities. So we have step-by-step functions for things that for you to kind of plan out. All of you are expert planners. You've been doing this maybe for a couple of months, maybe a couple of years, maybe many years, and you really know how to connect with and engage with your populations. But maybe you're wondering, how do I do this with Zoom? How do I do this with a virtual engagement? Like, this isn't the same as being able to go to a local establishment and being able to connect there. It is different, it is new. So we have put together some steps. So on this page, you can see those different steps. Think about what kind of event you want to host. Think about, is this something that I need to do a board meeting virtually, or is this something I need potentially a Category 1 event to do virtually? Think about the different options and tools you have. So we have that linked there where you can hear, where you can see what different opportunities there are available and which different tools are available. We have information about how to register for events virtually and how to make this happen. We also have information about the new Workfront guide and information about how to use Workfront in the future, because there's just a little bit of a difference. There's just 2 added pieces, which we'll show, where you can get more support for your virtual programming. Finally, you implement that event, you have a great time, and you submit it like you would in the past via DocuSign with information about who attended, what kind of event it was, all the basic normal things that you normally would. Go back here for a moment, and I want to bring up the Workfront piece. So with Workfront, most of you are using this now to ask for an email, to ask for a postcard, to update your website. So you've been using it and are, you're comfortable using it. With the new support that OSUAA and some of our partners across University Advancement are able to provide during this virtual programming time, we have 2 different really cool options. The first is for those of you wanting to host a board meeting. Our Alumni House events team, so those staff members that work at the Longaberger Alumni House, host events, host board meetings for many of our societies. Our societies, those groups are usually based in the Columbus area, so many of them are able to travel to campus to be able to have those meetings. Some of our organizations, some of our clubs, due to your proximity, you're able to meet at the Alumni House as well, but it's mostly with our alumni societies. But this opportunity is available to both alumni clubs and societies. Our Alumni House events will host a meeting for you via Zoom. So they will use Ohio State's, where you might have seen Carmen's Zoom. It's our Zoom function. That's what we're using here today. They will use it, and that's their staff members will work directly with you to set up a time, set up the links, the invitations to the meeting, and they'll even be there at the beginning of your meeting to talk about, here's what we need to do. Is everybody feeling comfortable with the technology? And once your members feel comfortable and feel good about that, they will step off of that meeting and you're able to host your meeting and host your board meeting. So if you are interested in that opportunity, you can request that via the new part of Workfront. So you'll see here, there's a little screenshot from that, and you'll see that you'd like the assistance from OSUAA to help host a board meeting. You'll put that information in. That will tag us here at the Alumni Association. We'll reach out to our colleagues in the Alumni House events. We'll connect you, and we'll move on and move forward there. So you'll have both your staff member here at OSUAA, your liaison that you talk to, either your regional engagement officer or your society liaison who's working with you currently while we have two REO positions open. They will reach out to you and connect with you about that opportunity. The other opportunity we have available is the Category 1 event help. Let's say you've found a really great virtual event that your group wants to do, but you just don't know where to begin. You're wondering, how do I do this? Where do I go? Well, we also have some help from our Advancement Events team. So Advancement Events works for all of University Advancement, which the Alumni Association is part of. And for those of you who've been to an event hosted by Ohio State, whether that's OSU Day at Cedar Point, or that's an event in Washington, D.C., or Cleveland, or Los Angeles, if you've been to a Buckeye Bash or a pregame huddle, the team that builds those events and does all the logistics and planning for those are our Advancement Events team. They also do very big events on campus and across Columbus and honestly across the world. And they are incredibly talented professionals. And so we have the luck to be able to work with them. So if you need some help, you need some consultation, the Advancement Events team, you'll see here, you can click, I want OSUAA events, Advancement Events, to help you plan your virtual event. You'll click that. Again, that will tag us at the Alumni Association. We'll work with our partners in that office, and we will connect with you on what that looks like and what kind of support they can provide you. And they'll go through the steps with you. They'll talk to you about what are best dates and times and how do you promote this event and what are some things you need. They'll even help with kind of how to host the event. I failed to mention that Alumni House events will also help teach you how to be a host for an event. Even if you don't want to host an event right now, but you're still wondering, how do I become a host? How do I do this in the future? There is the opportunity for our Alumni House events staff to help you out. So know that currently you have two different ways for Ohio State to help you host virtual events. You can either host a board meeting, and that be with our team who will sit there with you, set up the links for you, make that happen. And then you can host your own board meeting. They'll step aside once everybody's situated. The other opportunity is working with our events team, who will help you kind of figure out some of those logistics, figure out some of those plans, and kind of move you along the process. So really great opportunities. Those are all available within the Workfront link, and I'm going to open that up right now. Oh, it didn't open up. Okay, well, we'll get that for you. So these are some really great ways for all of us to be able to help you. And I wanted to take this over to Tyler, who you might be asking, what kind of events can I have? What kind of things can I do? How can you make an event virtual? Tyler's going to talk to you a little bit more about different suggestions for events, as well as more information about registration and such. Thanks everybody for listening.
All right. Thank you, Maggie. Hello again, everyone. So when we were thrusted into this position and had to rethink virtual engagement, one of the first things that came to mind is we have these great event categories already that really put a solid framework in place to help our alumni clubs and societies reach their requirements each year to keep their tier status. So we kept that in mind when looking at these different event types, and I'm going to go through some of these. These virtual engagement and event opportunities are also available in the information that we've been sending out via Nutshell. If you didn't receive that, please follow up with your club or society liaison, and they'll be able to help you out. So let me share this screen here. For some reason, it's not showing me the opportunity to. Here we go. We are looking at our event categories, and we identified some great opportunities where resources are already available online, and we hyperlinked each of these resources so it's easier for you to access these. So one of the first things we looked at was our arts events, which are very popular with our clubs and societies. So we found some Broadway plays and musicals, symphonies, and operas as well that you're able to stream for free in most cases. In some cases, you may have to pay, but those are definitely available online, and these resources have all been linked. In addition to that, art museums, while they are closed across the country, many of these world-class institutions are offering virtual tours for free right now. It's a great way to get outside the house when you can't get outside the house, so I would consider those for arts events. Continuing, we are still doing celebrating the sesquicentennial anniversary of The Ohio State University. We have plenty of opportunities available through the website for the 150th anniversary of Ohio State. And these can be lifelong learning, special interests, or in even some cases, arts or diversity events. So there's an online history course right now for Ohio State University that can be taken for free by anybody. All you have to do is sign up through the 150th website. There's also a series of mini documentaries about the Ohio State University and the Carmen Collection. The Carmen Collection focuses more on untold stories with a focus on diverse and underrepresented populations. So if you're looking for a diversity event to host, that would be a great opportunity for your club. Continuing on, we have film discussion, which can also be arts, lifelong learning, or diversity. Netflix, which a lot of people have, has this new platform available called Netflix Party. This allows you to have a discussion while the film is going on. If you're looking, it's a great way to not only enjoy a film, a documentary, but it's also makes it easier for you to have that engagement with each other while the movie is taking place. We also considered wellness classes. Virtual fitness classes have really taken off in this last month. There's a lot of opportunities available online from established platforms, but there's going to be also a lot of yoga instructors and local fitness instructors in your area who are offering these classes as well. We would recommend that you take a look at those first, and that way you can help contribute locally as well. Continuing, we also have Buckeyes After Work, the popular networking event. We can still host these through Zoom meetings. We had, I believe it's our one of our clubs in China already hosted one of these events since they were locked down before we were here in stateside. So I would consider that as well. Additionally, we have an example of an event schedule here, setting up designated time, discussion to follow. But we also ask that you keep in mind that not everybody has Netflix. So you may need to designate a host for these events and share the screen and allow everyone to watch that way. We also have some discussion points below. If you have ideas for discussion points, or if you want to share anything, I would recommend reaching out to your REO or liaison. We're always looking to expand this section. I mean, this is something I want to emphasize is that this is the floor, not the ceiling for virtual engagement. So if you have some ideas for virtual engagement, we definitely want to hear those. We would like to be able to expand this and make it more robust. So if you do have those ideas, please reach out to your REO or society liaison, and that way we can see about getting those uploaded or what we can do in terms of helping make those happen. Now, I'm going to touch on this briefly, but additionally, registration for these virtual club and society events. We took a look at some different opportunities that we have available, and I'm going to touch on each of these briefly. One that is super easy to use, but also can easily get all the information that you would normally use for with the official sign-in sheets that are provided through the group pages. I would suggest considering making a Google form. This allows you to create a simple form to fill out all the information for people who are participating, but that information goes into a spreadsheet which you can easily download and upload to your DocuSign and your post-event reporting. Some other opportunities we have available are JOT forms. Our communication staff members, Aaron and Josh, can add this to your event listing on your website and get people to sign up from there. Now, if you want to check out the user guide, it's available at this page. A couple of other opportunities we have are Eventbrite. Many groups use this tool already, and it can be added to the communications. There are both free and paid accounts and more tools that Eventbrite offer. It's based on what information you're trying to collect and the ticket types. But to read up more about that, I would recommend clicking there. Also, a lot of our groups already do this, but you can also just have people email you, whether your club address or whoever the event coordinator is, that they are going to be participating in the event, and just collect their registration information via email. And then you could add that to a Word document or an Excel sheet and upload that with your DocuSign after the event. But we look forward to developing this more, and I'm going to turn it back over to Maggie, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Tyler. Really appreciate that. And so we have some really great opportunities. Also wanted to share, you should have received a document or an email, last Tuesday that shares Ohio State's virtual programming. So what OSUAA is doing overall, and some really great opportunities that some of our colleges and units are sharing. So that we'll send you the link here in a moment. But that's an opportunity for you also to look at different things that are coming right here from Ohio State. So last week, College of Arts and Sciences had an event with Kirk Herbstreit, and he talked in a Zoom meeting about all sorts of things. And so that was an opportunity. The Wexner Center for Medicine has different doctors and healthcare professionals providing updates all the time. And we have a Zoom meeting next week about grief in the time of coronavirus and what that looks like. So we'll have more information there. Things will be added, things will be up there for you to engage with, but that's another great opportunity for your groups. So you all posted a lot of different questions. We've seen some of the great questions that you've been bringing up today, which I know Colin's been addressing some of those already, but we'll also address a few of those here now. But I'm going to turn it over to Colin right now to address some of the questions that you brought up. And you'll hear from all of the staff members and provide some of the answers to the questions that you had. So Colin, if you'd like to go, love to hear from you.
All right. Hello, everyone. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and start off with the questions that were brought up in the group chat, and then we'll move into some of the questions that were brought up prior to our Zoom meeting here. So thank you for all the great questions. So the first one that came up was about selling protective masks with either a club logo or a Buckeye logo on there. So great question. I like the thought process behind it. But what we need to do is we actually need to check with our trademark and licensing partners before we move forward with that. So we will check with them. Of course, they're the experts in that field, and then we will make sure that we follow up with you to learn more about that. And possibly selling those masks, and we like the Buckeye pride. So we will get back to you on that. The next question was about planning summer send-offs for this year. Unfortunately, of course, we don't know a whole lot about the months ahead of us, so we don't have a whole lot of information right now for summer send-offs, but we hope to soon. In terms of planning, I would say hold tight for this current moment. We just don't know what things are going to look like all the way through July and August. So we hope to have information soon. Of course, our teams are getting as much information as we can from our partners in the university, but we will be sure to update you as soon as we have more information on your freshman send-off or summer send-off. Next question was about when should we start planning these virtual events? I'd say as soon as possible. You know, a lot of this is very much, you know, it's about Buckeye community, right? We want to stay connected with our fellow Buckeyes in our areas. And, you know, while our current position on, you know, your club's Scarlet Gray Carmen status is what we have shared in the email in the past, you know, I think it's still a great way to connect with fellow Buckeyes, and moving into the next year, I think it might be great to do kind of a trial run of how your event might work moving into next year, because we're still, you know, making decisions on what that'll look like too. That next question was, and then the final question I saw was about being able to post podcasts or recordings on your group website. I want to make sure 100% from our communications team that is possible. I do think it is possible, but I just want to double check with them to make sure that they can do that. And then again, we'll make sure that we follow up with you, Joyce, and everybody on that particular subject. Looks like Martha had an additional question about we already have some purchased trademark Ohio State materials for the mass. I would say that's still the same theory. I'd love to just check with trademark and licensing with the current economy and how things are. We want to be careful about, you know, how much, where we're using the logo, what logos are being spread around. I know other people might be selling them at the moment, but it's better safe than sorry at this point. So again, Martha, we'll make sure that we get back to you on a lot of those logos. Okay, we'll move on to, I don't see any other questions in the group chat, but we'll move on to some of our pre-submitted questions. And the first one that came up for us that I'm sure many of you are curious about is football. Football tickets, the football season, we do not know what is happening. It's still late April. I'm sure many people have read a variety of articles on what could happen. Unfortunately, we just don't know the answer. You know, the way football is, you know, it could be a variety of things. And, you know, we don't want to spread false information or information that we don't know is 100% sure. So everything is on hold for right now. If you're worried about, you know, tickets and things like that, you will have every opportunity to get tickets for your group or adjust the number of tickets that your group will have as we learn more about the football tickets and what that looks like. We hope to have more information in early May from athletics, but right now we just don't have a whole lot just because it's so early on in the year, and we're still learning more and more about COVID-19. So, all right, one of our next questions was about student support, and I'm going to pass that over to what I think is our expert in student support, and that's Leslie Smith.
Well, thank you, Colin. I know that that's one of the great passions of the alumni clubs is supporting students. And well, while we're unsure right now of what will look like in the fall here at the university, I know you're concerned about how you can support them. First off, I want you to know that scholarships are still being awarded. I'm still actively doing that every day. I'm checking student statuses and letting clubs know. I'm in touch with your scholarship leaders every day. So be very happy that we are still able to award lots of scholarships to students. You can be in contact with your current scholarship students via phone, email, text, and ask how they're doing with their classes being online. And if you have graduating seniors, you know, congratulating them on such. And then as well for the students that you're awarding now for the 2021 year, you can start to be in contact with them, I think, as long as you know, and I've confirmed that they have been awarded and they have paid their acceptance fee. It is possible, and some clubs have done it, to send small care packages to students. Please, before you do anything like that, if you want us to work with you, you need to contact your REO and schedule that. And there are some monetary limitations to what you can be sending to the students. I know sometimes you like to send gift cards, but we have to be very careful about that situation when it comes to financial aid. That can be counted if we're going above a certain threshold. But I also want you to be very confident that the university faculty and staff are in touch with students right now, especially with COVID-19, and we have excellent programs here at the university. So there's the first year experience, there's the STEP experience for sophomores, there's peer leadership, there's the Student Wellness Center, they have their learning communities, and they have student activities. So be very confident that the university is extremely aware of what's going on and is checking on all students, not just your scholarship students. I think that covers it for now. With so many things uncertain, we'll be getting information out to you. And if you have ideas on how to contact and be in contact and support students, please send them to us. And we'll vet that and make sure we get that out to everybody. Thank you.
All right. So looks like we had some more great questions.
Yes. Okay. Yes. High school students who are going to, that are potential entering freshmen to the university, that May 1 deadline is still a deadline for Ohio State. I know some other colleges and universities made that a different date, but here at the university, it is May 1. Unless there's some extenuating circumstances due to COVID. In regard to Carmen Zoom, is that something that you were talking about with students, or is that for a club function? I'm not sure. So if you could expand on that, Dan, that would be great.
Dan, if you're wondering if you can use Carmen Zoom for your different events, you can, if you decide to have a board meeting. The Alumni House events, as I was talking about before, they will host the board meeting using our Carmen Zoom. Unfortunately, unless you're a staff member or a student of Ohio State, or if you're a staff member of the medical center, we're the only ones who can have the accounts with Carmen Zoom. But our team for board meetings can help you out with a Carmen Zoom. If you want to host your own events and your own meetings, we'd really suggest you looking into getting a subscription to a Zoom or a different video conferencing tool. There are some free options, but some of those free options are limited. Depending on what kind of subscription you want, there's different price points. I know Zoom can be anywhere from $15 a month to a whole lot more than $15 a month, depending on how many people you want to have be hosts and different things like that. So we have information in that virtual events guide that you can look at the different options for your group and see if that's something that your group is wanting to take on, if your group is ready to do that. But with Carmen Zoom, unfortunately, again, only if you are a staff member of Ohio State or a student of Ohio State would you be able to utilize that tool. Instead, like you did today, we can invite people and have guests who are not part of the university. So that's how we are able to make this happen today, because we are using our Carmen Zoom. But they do interface with one another. They do connect with one another, Carmen Zoom and Zoom. And they work almost exactly the same. I've seen different entities, I've been part of lots of different Zoom meetings myself with friends and family and such, and they all function pretty much the same. So thanks for asking that question.
Okay, so thank you, Maggie. In terms of our next question, so we got the question of that, will we get support with website, mailings, emails from OSUAA for virtual events? The answer is we can help with website and emails. We do want to continue to engage. So we understand that, emails to a larger area is something that we can help with and provide support in. So we want to be able to promote some of those events. You would just do that through your regular Workfront request, as well as updating that website. Mailings are a little bit different because, since everybody is working from home right now, we are a little bit unsure of timelines and what that looks like with our mailing partners. So as we get updates, we'll share those with you. But right now, mailings are a little bit iffy. We don't have the ability to, send out a postcard within 6 weeks like our normal timeline has been. So we'll share more information with you as that becomes available. Hopefully that answers your question. Looks like somebody was able to get a Zoom subscription for $150 a year, which is a discount. So might be an opportunity for groups to do that as well. So that looks great. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So moving on to our next questions from before we had our meeting here. We had some questions about elections. We had some groups that were in the process of selecting new officers or new board members and wanted to know if we had any suggestions. Yes, you can still do those. We just encourage you to do a virtual board meeting, or you can have people, sending in notes via video conferencing tools, or do email ballots. Talk to your regional engagement officer or liaison, and we can, provide some support in making sure that we help you guys put those together. We want to, continue to have those elections even in, the work from home atmosphere that we're in. So please feel free to reach out to us for that support. Some of you still had some questions about month of service. I'll pass this off on to Tyler.
Thank you, Colin. Yeah, the questions we had specific to month of service was, can we do these events at other times? One of the questions we specifically received was, our service activity is an outdoors one, but still cannot be done in April. We can do it later, correct? The answer to that is yes, absolutely. You can do service events any time of the year, but since we had to cancel month of service events, doing your event at another time when things are safe for public gatherings is what we would recommend. Other questions that we had about virtual event support. We had several wellness sessions planned for this spring. Could we possibly get help recording those and putting them online? Thank you so much. So this goes back to the Zoom subscription. So a Zoom subscription will allow for recording. The recorded content then can live on your website if you really want to make that happen. As far as other wellness events, we would also suggest that you look into OSU Rec Sports, live group fitness Zoom classes, and the archive of the classes we have online. We will be sending you a follow-up on that after this call at some point. And I'll yield the floor back to Maggie.
Hi, everyone. So we had quite a few questions about this next section, and we've kind of themed them as, what does reopening look like? What does restarting look like? So a lot of questions were about your Scarlet, Gray, and Carmen tier status and what those will look like going forward. At this time, we have some meetings on our calendar here at OSUAA to discuss that for the future. So when we get together and make some more decisions and look at what kind of where guidance is going, what things will be happening, we will provide that back to you and we will share back with you. For this fiscal year, as a reminder, your groups will pretty much be able to use the tier status you had for this current fiscal year. So for fiscal year 20, that will translate over to fiscal year 21. There are some special circumstances, like especially those groups who are maybe really working hard to get to Scarlet, and maybe we're at a lower tier this year. We'll be working with some one-off groups like that. But if your group was Scarlet last year and maybe you were an event or two off, or maybe you had to cancel your last two events, you will still be Scarlet for fiscal year 21. So starting on July 1, 2020 until June 30th, 2021. Wow. I don't know if I'm prepared for 2021 yet, but definitely that will be the case for you. So that's what we have for this upcoming fiscal year. And once we have a little bit more information and we kind of figure out what the path looks like forward, we will definitely address that. But thank you for asking that, and thank you for bringing that up. Another question that people kind of brought up were, how do we do our Category 1 events if we're in this stay at home, these social distancing things? Well, that's really what today was about creating virtual opportunities. So definitely, if your group is ready or you feel comfortable, maybe thinking about when a virtual opportunity may work for you. And maybe it's not until next fiscal year. Maybe it's not until after July, after you've kind of thought through some things and figured some things out. that works. If you're ready to go with one in 2 weeks, that's awesome too. And we're here, like we said, we have those different support pieces from here, from our campus partners, but also remember you always have your regional engagement officer or the society liaison you're currently working with to help you out. And if you have any other questions and you can't get a hold of that person, you can reach out to anyone here at OSUAA. We will help in whatever way possible. But that's kind of how, if we're still in these situations, and even if we're not in a complete stay at home, but we're still in a social distancing and maintaining health and what that looks like for the future, we're gonna evolve together as a group. We're gonna try to do the best to stay connected, stay engaged with our fellow Buckeyes. And we're so grateful for the work that all of you will do to help us keep the connections, just like you do during normal times. You also asked about maintaining health and safety. That is the biggest thing. The university currently, as you know, events are canceled. No in-person events will be happening at the university or university-hosted events until July 6th of 2020. So a couple more months of no events. That is the guidance and the protocol that our staff uses, and kind of the expectation we have of your groups at this time for those in-person events. And as things change, as things open up, and based on university guidance, and obviously with CDC and health guidance, we will be working to provide potentially more resources or connections about what does reopening look like and what does hosting events look like again. Please know that we will be maintaining and thinking about health and safety and how do we maintain health and safety while still engaging people. That is the absolute first thing we are thinking of. So we will provide any information, any updates that come. We will be contacting you as soon as we possibly can to see what that looks like. So whether that's, you can only have events with a certain amount of people, or, is this the right time to have events? We'll be talking to you about that and continuing those conversations as things change. We appreciate the patience that all of you have shown too, because we're learning this at the same time. So we really appreciate you thinking through those ideas, trying to plan for the future, but also just being flexible with us and the patience that you've shown with us. We really greatly appreciate that. Finally, some things about finances and financial items came up, and we will keep you updated if anything changes there for next fiscal year and going forward. So we ask for you to trust us, and that we'll provide anything that we are able to share with you, or any kind of changes, whether that's tier changes or finance things, or how to host a virtual event. Maybe we find an even better tool or a better thing to use. But we're just asking for your patience with us, your continued patience, I should say, and we'll move forward with that. So, Colin, those were the questions that I had to address. Was anything else come up while I was talking that we can address?
Yeah, so we had one more question. It looks like, some clubs may have lost some income because of some canceled fundraisers, and are looking for some suggestions with virtual opportunities to make money. I think that's a great question. I think, unfortunately, I don't think there's a direct yes answer right now. I know, looking at the economy, a lot of places are hesitant in terms of fundraising and trying to pull in money, just because a lot of people, have unsettling financial situations at this point. So I think that's something that our team can get together and talk more about, and might be able to provide you some more direction in the future. But as of right now, I think just like everything else, we're still unsure financially about, ways to do some of that, virtually. It's a different world out there. So looks like, is payment still due for season tickets by the end of April? I asked that question. Did you hear that from somebody, or, because I'm not sure about.
Do you have personal season tickets or personal tickets? Yeah. Whatever guidance the athletic department has sent to you via email or via mail, that's the guidance to go along with right now. we can reach back out to athletics to check in about that, but whatever guidance, whatever communications have come directly from athletic tickets, that's the guidance to go forward with. So when Colin was talking about football, we were talking about the club and society group tickets that are available. But if you have your own personal football tickets, that's whatever guidance athletics has shared with you.
Awesome. Great questions. I don't see anything else right now, but please feel free to add in questions. We're happy to address them. Looks like we had one more. Is the Alumni Association involved in the search for a new president with President Drake? I don't have any updates, but Don, do you have any input that you want to add to that? Dr. Stenta?
Yes, thanks, Colin. There has been a series of listening sessions, and there is a committee that was formed to sort of take in feedback from the university community. And those sessions happened in person and virtually back in January and February. And there are alums and members, representatives from the Alumni Association board who have served on that group. So the current situation with recruiting people to serve as presidents of major universities has changed over time. It used to be a very public process where several candidates would come to campus and they'd meet with a variety of stakeholders over a period of 3 or 4 days. And that's really no longer the trend. Typically what happens is the format that Ohio State has followed. There's an internal committee that's made up of a number of stakeholders who sort of develop a profile of what candidates ought to look like and take in feedback from people across the university community, including alumni, including other folks in the community as well. And then the search process usually happens in much more of a controlled fashion, I guess you could say, with a search firm that's hired, and there's a number of people from the University Board of Trustees who then work on the process of recruiting that candidate. And as has been the case, I think maybe with the last 2 presidents, I'm pretty sure that with Dr. Drake and with Dr. Gee, Part 2.0, there was an announcement made, this is the new president. Whereas in the past, there might have been, public information shared about the candidates who are being considered. You might imagine that in these days, prior to the pandemic, higher education is a pretty significant machine. And if you sort of tip your hand to your current board of trustees, if you're a sitting president, that you're looking for a new job, if you don't get that job, that board may tell you to pound dirt. So these things operate in a much more sort of strategic way, I guess, if you look at it from the perspective of the candidates who are out there. So the hot candidates usually aren't on the public market for looking for jobs. And that's why things have sort of changed over time. We haven't heard any word about the timeline of the presidential search process. So I'm not sure what lies ahead related to that. Dr. Drake was scheduled to retire effective June 30th. And then he's returning to the faculty. And, the plan was to have a new president here for July 1st. So if we get any information about that information, we're happy to share that out. And Maggie, my screen says that 2 participants have raised their hands, but I don't know what that means. So can you check on that?
Yes, yeah, we have. It looks like Jonathan, you had raised your hand. Okay, got it. Got it. Well, if there are any other questions, I saw some people send me some direct things about sending emails out. We can attach to our follow-up email. We can attach both the email that came out with the virtual events from OSUAA. We can also attach the nutshell again, just for you all to remember that, as well as the link. And I had put it into the registration for this, the information yesterday when I sent the links out for the Zoom meeting. The link to the page of all of the different support that OSUAA is providing, that's in that email as well, but we'll send that again too. So I just want to say before we go, anybody has any other questions, One came in to me asking about our new CEO here at OSUAA, Molly Rands Calhoun. We are working on some things. We're hoping to introduce you to her shortly, and we will keep you updated on that and move forward with that. Yeah. So thanks for asking. Very excited. I've gotten to know Molly over the years when I was a student, knew her when I was a student, so very excited to see her come over and get to hang out with all of you and get to work with us. So very excited for the future. Before I end it, any other questions or anything that is on your mind right now? Okay. Well, I just want to thank you all for your time. Thank you for your consideration, your thoughtfulness, your flexibility, your patience. We really appreciate you taking this time and really appreciate the work that you do all year long. I know that this is a weird time. It's a strange time, but you know, we're going to move through this together. We're going to work through this together, and glad that I get to work with all of you while we're moving through. So if you have any questions or anything, please reach out to your society liaison, or your regional engagement officer, and we will be happy to answer anything that you may pose to us. We'll follow up with people with the different questions that we told you about that we would follow up on. And enjoy your afternoon. And as always, go Bucks. Bye, everyone.